Welcome to Coach Allen Presents. I'm your host, Al. 3 a.m. in the morning, October 7th, 2022, Friday. Happy Friday, everybody. Going to do a little late night chat here. Talk about a number of subjects. I'm going to talk some horse racing. I'm going to talk some Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie. Aaron Judge, number 62. What's going on in the news right now? We'll get to all of that stuff, but first, coffee. First cup of the day. Excellent. Divine. Very smooth, nice and hot. Four Sigmatic mushroom coffee. Mushroom coffee. You really can't taste the mushrooms in it. And they say this boosts mental clarity, focus, etc. We're going to start off by talking some Gabby Petito here. Earlier in the week, I did a show covering the Lifetime movie, the Gabby Petito story. And now, what alarmed me was some of the comments that came in on that show. Alarming. Sticking up for Brian Laundrie, if you can believe that. How do you know for certain that Brian Laundrie was an abuser? How do we know, that what Brian Laundrie said in his notebook wasn't 100% true? How do we know that Brian Laundrie for sure was an abuser? Casting doubt. Maybe Brian Laundrie wasn't abusive. Listen, moron. Let me tell you this right. He strangled her. He strangled her. She's dead. Is there any question in your mind that he wasn't abusive? Seriously? How do we know that Brian Laundrie was abusive? He strangled her. How do we know that what Brian Laundrie said in his notebook wasn't 100% true? Odds are, given the history of those two, she had to go to friends numerous times to get away from Brian Laundrie, and numerous breakups. She broke up the engagement at least once. Vibrant young woman. I guess she's 22 years old. And now Brian is saying in his notebook that he found her, I guess, in a puddle or in a pond or something, and she was freezing and she had a bump on her head, and she wanted to be put out of her misery. I don't buy that for a damn second. Earlier that day, the last day that Gabby was seen alive, Brian Laundrie was causing a scene at a restaurant, fighting with the wait staff, arguing about a bill, just out of his mind. Gabby had to go back in apologizing for him. And that made Brian furious because now he saw Gabby as sticking up for the other people instead of him. And lo and behold, that's the last day that anybody ever heard from her. And that was the same day that some other campers were in the area, and they drove and she was out there, and they captured Gabby's van. Yeah, the van belonged to Gabby. It was Gabby's vehicle. They spotted it at the side of a road, and it was abandoned. No one was in there, from what they could see. And later on, I guess a month later or so, right in that exact area is where they found Gabby's body. Now, she's arguing at a restaurant. She takes it upon herself to go back in and apologize for Brian's putrid behavior. She had a blog site, a lot of things going on. She had a bright future. And now suddenly Brian says she was found in a puddle somewhere, bruised, in pain, wanting to be put out of her misery. So he did a mercy killing. I don't buy that for a second. I think Brian was trying to cover his own ass, writing that shit in the notebook. And then he blew his brains out. Cowardly. But not before driving cross country in Gabby's car withdrawing money from her bank account with her card, which he stole, and then coming home to his parents, and then going on a trip with his parents. Now, his parents didn't find anything strange about that. I mean, the parents, they should be put up against a wall and a firing line, withholding information, sticking up for this bum, and going on a trip with him, not answering questions when Gabby became a missing person, instead hiring an attorney. And Brian Laundrie doesn't even call, answers no questions. How guilty could he be? Why didn't they just whisk this guy away somewhere and keep him captive until they found Gabby? Question him, torture him, do anything, get the information out of him. And yet some people are actually commenting on my video, questioning Brian Laundrie's guilt. Was he abusive? That Lifetime movie, you can actually see it online. Do a search on YouTube, the Gabby Petito story. There's a website that has the whole movie in full. Brian Laundrie, he did have one friend that spoke out about him. And he said that Brian Laundrie, except for him, had 0 friends in high school. Total outcast. Always by himself. No friends. Just the opposite of Gabby, who had numerous friends. Everyone was singing her praises. Why did she hook up with a creep like this? Co-workers of Brian Laundrie said he would fly off the handle easily, very nervous, jittery, set him off at any given second. Look what happened at the restaurant the last day Gabby was seen alive. How about the cops when they pulled Gabby Petito, Brian Laundrie over that day when there was a domestic violence call? Why didn't they take Brian Laundrie in? Gabby stuck up for him, which is common for abusers. They tend to defend their abuser. And that's what Gabby's friend said. She used to go to her one friend numerous times every time her and Brian Laundrie had some blow up, which was often. And she'd be crying, she'd be hysterical. But as time went on and as they spoke, she began defending Brian. Defending Brian. You see that all the time. These women with black eyes, abusers, get physically abused, and they say it was my fault. There's no excuse for the abuse. Watch this movie. If you have any questions about Brian Laundrie, guy exhibited red flags right from the get-go. A real creep. They said, yeah, he was artistic. He, had some artwork. All his artwork, if you look at it, you can see some of it out there online. It's satanic in nature. He read books that were satanic in nature. There's something twisted about this guy. And why would Gabby go with him? Okay, she was a very attractive, cute blonde, right? I mean, she wasn't a 10 by any stretch of the imagination, but she was very, very good looking. You're not going to mistake her for a fashion model, but how many people can be mistaken for fashion models? She was a beautiful young girl. And look at Brian. The guy was like a fucking cue ball by the time he was 19 years old. Bald as bald can be. Now, I have nothing against bald guys. Maybe that set him off. Maybe that helped trigger him, his thing. Bald is fine, but her with a guy like that at that age, hey, I'm not saying I have the head of hair of when I was younger, yeah, I had the Barry Gibb, hair. I don't have it no more, but at least I have some hair. Look at Brian Laundrie. He had nothing. He had nothing by the time he was 19 years old. What was Gabby doing with this fucking cue ball? I would like to have 5 minutes alone in a room with a living Brian Laundrie right now. I would knock the living shit out of that asshole. I guess everybody, there's a lot of people that probably share that sentiment. How do we know Brian Laundrie was abusive? Come on. When I hear somebody saying something like that, it tells me they might be an abuser themselves. How do we know he strangled her? How much more evidence do you need? Well, you say, oh, she was probably being a bitch and she deserved it. No, a guy should never lay a hand on a woman. And anybody that does, any guy that does that is a damn coward. And they don't know what's up from down. And Brian Laundrie was as bad as they come. Living scum. And his parents, hey, he turned out that way. Must be a reason why. They stuck up for him. They hid him from the public. They didn't answer any questions. They didn't they couldn't care less about what happened to Gabby. They couldn't care less. They went as far as going on a family vacation together while she's missing, while she's laying in a field somewhere dead. Dead because her son strangled her. I guess it's good that he blew his brains out. He didn't deserve to live out his days in prison. I look back at Son of Sam or whatever, this guy in the 70s killing these women in the Queens area in New York City. Had the city in terror in the late 70s. And now he's still alive in prison. And they say he's a role model now. He helps other convicts. And he's remorseful about his sins. He can't take that back. This guy should have been put to the death chain, lethal injection, whatever, a long time ago. He doesn't deserve to be alive. Son of Sam. Brian Laundrie. But yeah, it was a Gabby Petito story. I think it was a good movie. And it shed some light on what might have happened, but it was speculation based on behavior of the two parties. And facts, they gave some facts, dates, times, what happened. And along with speculation. But it was well done. The two actors looked a lot like the people, Gabby and Brian. They look like the people that they played. So I would suggest watching it. People don't want to watch it. They don't want to be reminded. But it's a true crime story. And so for those of you, let's put a cap on this. For those of you who think Brian Laundrie, you concerned about whether he really was the abuser or was he abusive or not, or what happened in his notebook, was it true? I mean, come on, get a grip. Get a grip. Look at the facts. Gabby's dead. No doubt in my mind, any sane mind, whether he was abusive or not. How much more abusive can you get than that, strangling somebody? My God, these people, some of these people out there, where do you come up with this stuff? Horse racing. I was looking at the race results yesterday at Aqueduct Racetrack, and I was alarmed. I usually make the racing report for Aqueduct Thursday through Sunday. Now, I started making the racing report for Aqueduct yesterday and had the report done by 7:30 in the morning, all written up. Then I got word that all the races were off the turf later on in the morning, probably around 9, 10 o'clock, somewhere around there. Scratches weren't in yet, so I started to adjust the report based on the races that were off the turf. And there were 9 races on the card. 5 of them came off the turf. Then I went to the store. Figured I'll come back, I'll see the scratches. I saw the scratches, and there were 1 million of them in a number of races. And I was like, screw this. I'm not putting this report out today. This card is not even worth playing. But I made the report available for what I had, right? For free. And I put that out there because maybe something was there in one of the dirt races. Maybe there's something there. You could salvage something from all the work I put into these reports. And the results were mind-blowing. I'm wondering now, I'm beginning to seriously wonder if some of these tracks, if the races are fixed, because the results I saw just belied anything that made sense. And I've noticed that a lot since the pandemic. The racing seems to be fairly unpredictable. Are the jockeys playing games at some of these tracks? Presque Isle. I made some picks for Presque Isle earlier in the week. Put them out there. You're free, not a racing report. Horses that look rock solid. Rock solid. Almost as if they couldn't lose or they couldn't finish worse than second. And some of these horses were missing the board. Okay, it's a smaller track. We know fishy things tend to go on more at smaller tracks than larger ones. But this was just blatant bullshit, what I saw go down at Presque Isle. Four Sigmatic mushroom coffee. Is racing fixed? Many say, reports, they say probably about 30% of the races are fixed. 30% of the races are below board. I can believe that. I can certainly believe that after seeing some of the results this week. Now, I put out some very solid racing reports. I've been doing it for a couple of years now, just over 2 years. I started in July of 2020. Yeah, July 2020. And I have regular customers who swear by my reports because they've produced some very big winners. Not every day. Not everybody's going to be a winner every day, but they've produced some big winners that you wouldn't get normally on your own. Now, I use top-notch data to produce my reports from multiple sources, and I put a few hours into those reports when I make them. And I started already. I started today's racing report for Aqueduct, and already I got a bad feeling about it. Based on yesterday, based on all the scratches, do I want to continue writing that report when, who knows, they might take everything off the turf again, so it's a waste of time. Let's take a look and see how many turf races there are at Aqueduct today. All right. They have 9 races. 9 races, and they begin at 12:35. That's going to be sunny, very sunny day. Okay, let's count the turf races. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 turf races out of 9. Now, I'm going to write up this fucking report, and 5 of the races are going to be taken off the turf, and then I have to go back and reinvent the wheel. I should probably be covering a different circuit than the New York circuit, because I don't think they give a shit about what they're doing over there. They just throw anything out there, and they figure they'll make automatic money. When the weather's like this, they should schedule more dirt races, because all these races are probably going to come off the turf. I saw that at Mountaineer too. Every day they'd start off, if you go back a couple of months, they'd start off the day with 3 races on turf. And regardless of the weather, they took the races off the turf. Why even do that? I see that at parks. They don't do it there as much anymore. They'll schedule turf races, and automatically the races come off the turf, rain or shine. No reason for these races to come off the turf, yet they come off the turf. Horse racing isn't the game that was years ago. Even going back 10 years, it was a much better game. The payouts were better. The tracks played more true. Talking about the tracks playing true and inside money or fixed races, at New York especially, I'm seeing bombs come in at Aqueduct. Bombs that should produce giant exactas over $200-300, paying. You're lucky if they break $100. Who the hell knew what was going on, that the payouts were so low? You get a 35-to-1 shot in the exacta and with another horse that's the third choice, and the exacta pays $150 for $2. What other track does that happen at? Should you even bet the New York tracks, being there's so much crooked money in those pools, and the jockeys are so unpredictable? You got the Ortiz brothers who kill the odds every time they get on a horse. And you got these other jockeys riding there, like Mike Luzzy, other jockeys who flat out stink. It's just is California the way to go? I'm thinking about California racing. What bugs me about California racing? They got those tiny tiny fields, 5-6 horses. Presque Isle, I was watching Presque Isle, I did that. There was 6-7 horses in every race, maybe less after scratches. I'm picking flat out horses that look the fastest by far, and they're not even coming in. They're not even finishing third. What's going on at these places? I know I'm on a rant here, but my God, I'm just seeing the racing results, and it's just frustrating. So I started working on the racing report. Did the first race, and I'm like, oh, should I even move on to the second? I'm doing a racing show tonight, matter of fact. I'm going to be joined by the Brooklyn guy, Vinny, and we're going to be covering Delta Downs. Delta Downs had its opening night the other night. And Delta Downs is one of those tracks that I've done very well at. And the results, at least according to me, now I'm not talking about opening odds. I don't go by that. The track plays true to the way I see the races playing out. So I like that. And Don Stevens is the analyst at the track. He's very good. It's not uncommon for him to give out pick threes or exactas and trifectas. Makes tremendous picks, but not only does he do that, he plays great music throughout the simulcast. And he also calls the race. He calls the races. He's the best track analyst that I've seen out of any of the tracks. In New York, you got Andy Serling, who I don't know how he comes up with some of these picks, but I can't amend his picks. I actually start to get a little nervous when I see he lands on the same horse as me. That's what I think of Andy's picks. When I got started in racing, it had him and Jason Blewett were doing the show together. Jason Blewett, he's another one. The king of chalk. He's not even in the analyst business anymore. He doesn't do any of the announcing. Just awful. And he was joined by Andy Serling, who was equally awful. And when I first got started in racing, I would listen to some of these guys and use their picks ahead of my own. And then I'd watch in dismay as my horses came in and their horses did nothing. So I learned real quick after a couple of efforts not to listen to what these guys have to say. And that goes for anything else. The other analysts that you see, the guys on TVG, Matt Carruthers gives out his pick four, and he spreads all over the place, and he gets knocked out in the first leg. These guys are for entertainment only. I can't recommend them as solid analysts. They're for entertainment only. Yeah, this is my pick three. Or how many times did you see them, multiple analysts on TVG, all raving about a horse, raving. Look at him in the post parade. Look at the way he's holding his head, his tail. Wow, what a stride. And they're all drooling over this horse, and it does nothing. No, thank you, guys. Oh, gals. They have girls now doing the show. You ever notice how they have these girls doing the analysts at the track? The women, they're all beauty queens, right? You don't see an average-looking woman, or even just a way above average. They have complete knockouts as their analysts. The same thing with the NFL. Total joke. These analysts on these shows are nothing but entertainment. They're not really good at what they do. They're actors who got a job as a sports analyst. Who do we have here? How you doing, Mr. Allen? Dados Precious, I am doing good. Good morning, wherever you are. It's 3:27 in the morning here. Thanks for joining me. Doing very well. How you doing today? Yeah, these analysts. So I'm on the fence about this racing report. I guess I'll do it today because I'll get more pumped up later. Maybe I'll get some information about the track conditions. I started looking at Aqueduct. I wrote up the first race because the first race is on dirt. Now, how bad can they screw that up? And it's been dry here and cool, so track should have dried out some. I would hope the races are on the turf today because they have some really big field and what looks like good races. I was down. I was down on the results. Presque Isle, Aqueduct, yes. I still can't get over these results. At least two of the races were just mind-boggling, the results. Are they playing games? Do I have to go over there to the track and kick somebody's ass? I remember one time I was watching the race, at Aqueduct. And I got into it when they're coming for home, and I started cheering or something, and I got screwed at the finish line, right? And the guy sitting in front of me, I was in the seats, I was in the stands. And the guy sitting in front of me goes to me, he goes, "Do you think any of this is real?" And he was laughing. He goes, "Do you think any of this is real? It's all fixed. They know in advance what they're going to do." And he was dead serious. Let me heat up my coffee. I'll be right back. Let me put a message up, be right back, so you know I'm going to be right back. Four Sigmatic bus heating up coffee. Be right back. And we're back. All horse racing, all the time. I'm your host, Al. Now, what's with that? 4-Sigmatic mushroom coffee. Boosts mental clarity and focus. You really don't taste the mushroom. What's with this mug? What does that say? It says coffee. It's a prescription coffee mug, and I'll tell you exactly what it says right here, right now. Prescription coffee. Dr. Harold Feelgood, Mr. Java Joe Espresso. Drink 1 mug by mouth. Repeat until awake and alert. I am awake and alert. 3:34 a.m. New York Eastern Time. Daily grind quantity: 12 ounces of black gold. Refills sure expires when mug is empty. Excellent coffee. All horse racing, all the time. What's with the title of this show? That's what it started off to be. But we will be covering other topics as well. We'll do the racing shows, as always, for you racing fans out there. But how much horse racing can we talk? There's other things going on in the world. It's not just horse racing. Like Gabby Petito, the Gabby Petito movie. What about Aaron Judge? We'll get to him. Home run number 62. Takes the last day of the season off. Now, these fans in Texas, they're going there hoping, spending a lot of money for tickets. The place is jammed. Either there's 1 game left, right? And then the Yankees going to have a bye. They're going to have almost a week off, get 4 or 5 days, whatever, until their playoff game, because they have a bye in the first round. What is it? What would it take for him to go out there? The guy's making fucking millions of dollars to go out there and perform, at least for the fans on the last day of the season. Let's get it more than 62 home runs. He was in the chase for the Triple Crown. If he had a 3-hit game, he could have won the Triple Crown. 2-hit game, maybe that would have been enough. 2 for 3, and the other guy goes 0 for 3. Who knows? Possibilities were endless. And he sits out the final day of the season. That was a Bush League move. I know he was under a lot of pressure, but can't you go out there and do your job for 1 more stinking day? At least for the fans, at least for the sport of baseball. Everyone is wondering if he's going to hit more home runs. Maybe he hits his 63rd home run and some lucky fan gets the ball. What about the fan that caught the ball? People saying, one guy was kidding. A friend of mine, Charlie Lasich, was saying, I would have thrown the ball back on the field. Well, no way. Some people saying, oh, he should have given the ball back to Judge. What would Judge do? He'd sign a couple of baseballs for him, give him a signed bat, maybe a jersey, take a picture with him. No way. You've got to be a complete idiot to give the ball back. I know it's a beautiful gesture, but now this guy that caught the ball, he already has a $2 million offer. I got to check to see if he actually took him up on that offer. We'll take a look at some of the current news. Would I have given that ball back? No way. Good for this guy that caught the ball. That ball is a gold mine. It's a life changer. And it's not like baseball is broke. It's not like Aaron Judge is broke. If he really wants the ball that bad to give to his mother, give the guy $2 million. Give him $1 million. Here, I'll give you $1 million. You give me the ball. I'd say I want $2 million, and I want a signed jersey. I want a signed bat. I want a uniform, a jersey that you wore, a signed jersey that you wore during the game, or a signed cap that you wore. I asked for the moon, man. What the hell? It's not like these guys are broke. So Aaron Judge, though, great job on number 62. That is just flat out terrific. Let's take a look at what's going on in the news here. Let's see if this fan gave the ball back. Belmont. You know, I see the racing form. I see the data up on my screen, the tab for it, and I'm like just cringing thinking about what they're going to do at Aqueduct today. Are they going to take all these races off the turf? Okay, let's go to some current news. What's trending in the news? you're probably avoiding the news is probably a way to avoid depression, because there's so much bad news. Bad news sells. You read pages and pages of good stuff, and then you get 15 pages into a newspaper and you find out about a dog that was rescued, and then it's back to more bad news. Headlining New York Post: fears of a Hunter Biden story. More about this guy. Picture of him with a cigarette in his mouth. Another picture of him holding his head shirtless. Joe Biden, what a jerk. Hopefully this guy doesn't run again. And his son, this guy probably, the whole family would probably be behind bars if it wasn't for, Biden being president. And Tom Brady is very hurt by Gisele Bündchen after she hired a divorce lawyer. Tom Brady, another greedy bastard. Can't you stay fucking off the field? You're pushing 50, and he had to come back, right? And now his wife she's been raising the kids. She, put her modeling career on the side for the most part, and to stick by Tom and be supportive of him and his career, because he refused to hang him up. And then last minute, he decides to come back. And now she's like, screw this. And she takes off the wedding ring, and now she hires a divorce attorney. She sees enough of this. Tom Brady's another jerk. And now he's wondering why his wife is divorcing him. He's probably been telling her tall tales for weeks, months. Finally, we're going to have our time together. Finally, football's aside, all the practices, reading the playbooks, all the time on the road while you're here taking care of the kids. Now I'll be there for you, and we'll be a happy family. We have enough money. He has hundreds of $millions of net worth. And at the last minute, he's like, you know what? I got to go play again. I'm going to go back. I'm going to make a comeback. Meanwhile, he was never away. And now he's dumbfounded because she suddenly said, fuck you, Tom. And now she hired a divorce attorney. So that's in the news. Tom Brady, he's very hurt by Gisele hiring a divorce attorney. Clearing the bar. LSU gymnast celebrates being top-ranked influencer after making millions. Oh, what is she, on TikTok or something? This kid making millions. Of course, she's, pretty as can be. Dusty Baker. He says there is no debate over the true home run record. No debate over the true home run record. Now, what does Dusty Baker say? Yeah, he was a manager of Barry Bonds, I guess, when Bonds was playing. Is he going to stick up for Bonds? I'm not going to go nuts with this story, but let's see what Dusty has to say. No debate. Who's the true home run leader? What I saw Barry Bonds do, I don't care what people say, Baker told reporters on Wednesday. I was with him every day. They wanted to put an asterisk by it, but them 73 that went over the fence didn't have an asterisk by them, and they went over the fence with regularity. People can say what they want to say. Some people think it's Hank Aaron. Some people think it's Barry, but some people think it's Judge. But about 2 or 3 of them that it could be. All right, so Baker sides with Bonds. No surprise there. The pizza debate. Sparks fly in fiery New York's pizza crust debate. What else? No great shakes in the news. Oh, the home run ball. Let's find out. Did this guy sell the home run ball? That was the story I was looking for. Judge home run ball. The fan is still unsure. The guy that caught the ball is still unsure about what he's going to do with it. He's going to sell it. He's going to sell it at the end of the day. He's probably holding out for the best offer. He benefited the most by Judge taking off the last day because now he has the final home run ball that Judge hit, the one that broke Roger Maris's record. If somebody hit if Judge had hit number 63, it would have diminished the value some of that ball. So he's going to hang on to that ball, and he's going to get a good price for it. All horse racing all the time. Yeah, I'm going to be doing other shows as well. Coach Allen Presents. Episodes of that covering stuff either in the news, topics of interest, self-help, some advice stuff. Some people, if you want to write in, if you have any questions you'd like me to cover in a new and upcoming show, maybe a live show, a pre-recorded show, I'll be doing live shows just like now. Send them to liveracingshow@gmail.com, and I will answer your questions. What else? Let me just bring something up here. How about this? Let's talk relationships. I've done relationship shows, and let me answer a question here. Somebody who has a relationship question. We'll do a little Coach Allen, live relationship coaching. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to a relationship forum, and I'm going to pick out a question by somebody that's struggling with a relationship problem, and I'm going to answer it right here. So we'll talk a little bit relationships. Coach Allen Presents. Let's get the banner up there as we talk some relationships. Relationship. Relationship advice. Let's save that. And let's get a question. Let's see how we can help somebody out here. We'll give you a live coaching session here, right off the cuff. I'm not going to see this prior. Let's see what we got here. We're at a Love Shack website. Let's see if we can get a good topic here. Come on, can somebody write something more than 2 sentences? Let me go to a different site. The Date from Hell, dating experiences and questions. All right, here we go. Should I call or text her after a month? We'll read this right now. Should I call or text her after a month? After a month, what happened? Okay, so there's this girl who's really sweet and maybe shy. really sweet and maybe shy. Those are the ones to watch out for. We would bump into each other at work and chat a bit, but not more than a minute or so because it was always very busy. No flirting was involved. Come on, man. Try and make a move. If you're interested in her, it sounds like, she's sweet and really shy. Maybe you're the sweet and shy one. You didn't flirt at all. Her last day at... Come on. What are you, a fucking pussy? Do something. Try and... It's obvious you're interested in her. It sounds like you're the shy one. Her last day at work, she left some important documents on my desk and left. When I finally got around to them, come on, you didn't look at them immediately? When I finally got around to them, aren't you doing your job? Important documents on your desk. They're important documents. You got to set your priorities straight. What, are you just leaving it off on the side? You're being paid on a job. You're like ignoring important documents. Okay. And when I finally got around to them, I discovered she had left a small piece of paper with her name and number on it. Now, I'm looking at the name of this topic. Should I call or text her after a month? Now, she leaves her name and her number on a piece of paper on your desk. Now, I'm hoping you didn't wait a fucking month to act on this. I'm getting, oh my God. What are you, Brian Laundrie Jr.? I mean, sorry. Let's go. I mean, he had no girlfriends, and he had no friends. He had nothing, right? And obviously... Okay, discovered she had left a small piece of paper with a name and number on it. I was actually pretty surprised because this had never happened before to me. I imagine I believe that. I mean, you're afraid to make any sort of move on it. Well, what do you think? People, okay, she left a name and number on a piece of paper. How much more evidence do you need to move forward? Did you wait a month? Okay, so after a few days, I called her up. Good. And we went for coffee. Should have met her for dinner. You should have made it in the evening. It sounds like a friendship move. So you went for coffee. It went well, but it seemed I would initiate most of the conversation. Ask her some questions. What are you, just sitting there talking about yourself? Ask, if you're on a date, it's almost like an interview. And I don't want to make it sound robotic, but you want to be finding out something about the person you're seeing, that you're sitting across from. You want to learn something about them. See if you're compatible. Ask her about herself. Don't just sit there talking about yourself. Oh yeah, I go to a lot of comic book conventions. I'm a Star Wars fan. Nerd City, right? Hopefully you're not one of those guys. These guys creep me out. But you want to be initiating, you want to be asking her something about herself. Show her you're interested in hearing about her. Don't just sit there rambling on about yourself. How selfish and self-centered can you be? I would initiate most of the conversation. She also mentioned she had some personal issues going on that period. She also mentioned she had some personal issues going on that period several times. Now, that's kind of strange. That's not the time and place to be, I question her a little bit too here. Personal issues, unless you were putting her off so much that she wanted to nip it in the bud immediately. Hey, listen, I got personal things going on. I really can't see you right now. Which wouldn't surprise me if that's why she did that. Now I have to say I'm not experienced when it comes to dating. That doesn't surprise me. This was my first date ever. Oh, bingo. This was my first date ever. And you're working now at a job, which means you're probably at least 18, 20, who knows more. You're in an office, you're getting important documents on your desk, which you're ignoring. And now you're in your 20s, maybe you're in your 30s, and you're going on your first ever date. Red flag. This was my first date ever. So when I paid for the coffee, oh, big shot, and walked her to the place she was going to meet her sister, it was in my direction. So I offered, stalker, yeah, let me walk you to where you got to go. And she's probably like, get the hell away from me, please. Because I was still very uncertain of my feelings. Your feelings, you're not in a relationship. You're on a first date. You're getting to know her. What do you mean your feelings for her? Now you're in a relationship and you're trying to figure out your feelings and you had coffee for 5 minutes? I was still very uncertain of my feelings. I didn't initiate a second date idea. Oh, brother. Okay, okay. I didn't initiate a second date idea. Okay. Well, we simply kissed on the cheeks. You went for coffee and now you're kissing on the cheeks. This is just really awkward. The way this went, I wouldn't try initiating a kiss. You probably sealed your fate here with that move. She's like, oh, God. On your first date, this wasn't even a date. You met for coffee. Didn't ask her anything about herself. You sat there talking about yourself, saying God knows what. Okay, we simply kissed on the cheeks and friendly greeting in my country and went our separate ways. Now I decided I was truly uncertain of my feelings. I'd like to go out again one more time. One more time. Why bother? On the other hand, I felt like I should give her a way out if she didn't feel the same way about me. Didn't feel the same way about you. Listen, it sounds like you're blowing this big time. You had the piece of paper, her name and number. The writing was all over the wall. You had the table set for you. Take her out to dinner, okay? Doesn't have to be an expensive place. Maybe you can do that a second time. Maybe it's not too late. There's still more to go here, so I don't know. But from how far I've gotten so far, maybe you have some way to work something out that she could say, hey, maybe he wasn't feeling well that day. Maybe, he wasn't thinking straight. Maybe he was nervous. Let's give him another chance. I've already had dates where I totally screwed up on the first date. A long time ago, I wouldn't make those mistakes again. And a woman didn't want to see me again, right? And she's like, I don't know, maybe we're different types, whatever. Anyway, I said, hey, listen, let's go out. I had a good time. Let's go out together. And I suggested some place. And then we ended up seeing each other for a couple of months, in bed together all the time. And she was like madly in love with me. So you could turn it around, right? After one bad date. I saw you can do that. And if you want to know how to do it, maybe I'll make another video about that. How to recover from a bad first date. Okay. 4 Sigmatic mushroom coffee. Now I decided, okay, so I was truly undecided of my feelings, but would like to go out one more time. On the other hand, I felt like I should give her a way out if she didn't feel the same way about me. Obviously, at this point, she doesn't. So I texted her the next day, late in the evening. So now you text her probably at 2 a.m, telling her how much I enjoyed talking to her. Yeah, talking to her. You didn't ask her anything about herself. How much I enjoyed talking to her, how much I enjoyed, quote unquote, talking about myself, and thanked her for finding the time to see me. Oh, please. Even though she was preoccupied with other affairs. Oh, thank you so much for taking the time to see me, even though you have a lot of other things going on, other affairs. I never knew what those affairs were. It didn't seem right to ask on a first date. So she has issues going on, but she doesn't want to say what it is. I mean, that's writing on the wall, my friend. And I wished her well on the matter. Good luck with your affairs. And afterwards, I texted her again and told her I would be receptive. That's as close a word as I could find to what I said in my language, of another outing with her if she found the time and wanted to see me again. Okay. You're a little too wishy-washy and approval seeking, and it's like you're putting yourself down, like, oh yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to see me, and would you be receptive? What are you, a child that needs coddling? So what happened? And wished her well on the matter. And afterwards I told her I would be receptive. Okay. She wanted to see me. She responded likewise and said she would like to talk to me again. Personal affairs allow her to. If she wanted to see you, she would find the time, even if it's a couple of hours, to go out on a real date. So she's saying she'd like to talk to me again. If she doesn't want to see you, she'll talk to you again when her personal affairs allow her to. After a couple of weeks, I texted her again, wishing her a happy Easter. She responded likewise. Happy Easter. It's been a month since our date. Please help. It's been a month since our date. Please help. Here's what you got to do. Okay, you've screwed it up so far, but all hope is not lost. You had one bad date. You've been, number one, you got to get more assertive, and you got to show that you believe in yourself when you communicate with her. None of this, oh, how are your affairs going? Oh, I'm wondering if you feel the same way about me. How's she going to feel anything about you? She did. There was interest there at first because she left that note on your desk with her name and number. That is clear. You have that going for you. She was attracted to you at one time. Now, no matter how good looking you are of a guy, you can still totally blow it with your behavior, and your looks won't matter worth a shit. So you may be able to recover from this. Because you had one meeting, and it sounds like you had a few stupid texts where you presented yourself as spineless and weak, like a pile of jelly on the floor. So you got to turn that around. So what you do now is this. You send her text, and you send it as soon as possible. And you don't send it at 3 a.m. You send it in the morning sometime. So you put it in her head early when she starts her day. Don't put it in her head right before she goes to bed, or it's 7 o'clock at night when she might be out with friends. And it's like, oh yeah, if you have the time to see me, if your personal affairs are done. And she shows her friend the phone. Look at this asshole who he's writing me. They're like, oh, this guy sounds like a weakling. He sounds like a jerk. What is he, stalking you? No. Send her a text early in the morning. Send it out early in the morning. Sometime before 9 a.m. your time. This way, maybe she could read it while she's on her way. Think about it when she's on her way to work. Get it out there early in the morning. It gives her all day to think about it, all day to respond. What you're going to do is this. To dinner. Not coffee or sit and talk in the park. Nothing. Make it a real date. Good news for you is that wasn't a first date. That was you met somebody, a coworker, for coffee. Think of it that way. Don't think of it as being your first date. Keep in mind that note she left you. She's attracted to you initially. Usually you probably get a second shot. Maybe she just wants a free meal. But make it something she'll want to attend. Not something like you want to join me for a movie. You want to go to a movie because you're not going to get a chance to talk with each other, get to know each other, because you're going to be sitting there watching a movie. And heavens forbid you go to a movie, go there, and you haven't spoken to her at all, and then you try making out with her. I don't think you'd do that based on your behavior. Maybe you've never even kissed a girl. Come on, man, get started. What are you waiting for? Your whole life to drift by and you never go on a date? I gather you've never been laid. You've never fucked somebody before. I get somebody fuck you. I gather you have. I don't know what's up with you. Anyway, keep in mind that she left you a note. She was interested. So you got that going for you. Early in the morning, send her a text. Send it before 9 o'clock. Send it around 8 o'clock in the morning. Ask her to dinner. Pick a specific date and time. Make it a Saturday night. And give her an alternative. If that's not good for if that's not good for you, let me know when it's good. Good. I'd love to see you again. Let me know, when it's good for you. Oh, Friday night, or would Saturday night be better? Give her a couple of options. Give her 2 dates, Friday and Saturday night. Hopefully she goes for Saturday, but give her the 2. How about Friday night you go to, and pick out a spot, and don't make it some $500 meal restaurant. Pick some place that's fun, that's typical of dates. A fun spot, not too expensive, but not too cheap either. Middle of the road. And when you see what she says, so send her that text early in the morning. See how she responds. Start from there. If she doesn't respond right away, you send that one text and that's it. And don't respond right again until you hear from her first. Don't send her one thing and then start sending texts all day because you didn't hear back from her in an hour or in 5 minutes. And that's the first step. And when you go on that date, and this is where I'll end this here. When you go on this date, ask her some questions about herself. Ask her about her family. Ask her about her parents. What's your mom like? What's your dad like? You got any brothers or sisters? Ask her about her interests and whatever. What do you think of that job? You got the job, a common job you worked at. What do you think? Do you like it there? Do you like working there? Go from there. She's not there anymore. Learn about her interests. Don't just sit there talking about yourself. You look like a self-centered idiot. or somebody who's really not interested in her. So you can go from there. I hope that helps. Now I'll respond to you personally, even though this wasn't directed towards me. We'll go from there. Maybe this helps your situation. I'll tell you I did a video on your question. Should I call, text her after a month? Yes, absolutely. If you're thinking about her, give it at least one more shot. Maybe you can straighten this out. But come across strong. Don't ask her about her personal issues. Don't mention that stuff again. Don't bring it up again. Like to see you Friday night, dinner at this place. Play a nice place, not too expensive. This time, Friday night, or would Saturday night be better? Boom. Simple. Don't gush about her. Wow, I love talking to you. Hey, I was thinking about you. How about dinner on Friday night at this place, or would Saturday night be better? It would be great to see you. It would be great to see you again. Boom. Let it sit. Coach Allen did his stuff. Yeah, you saw Coach Allen, relationship coach live, breaking down a situation here. What do we got? Comments. Live relationship advice. We can take that banner down. Coach Allen. What do we got here? Phil James. Hello, Alan. I'm loading my TVG account for Santa Anita today. This must be a different topic. I'll check in again. Hey, Phil. All right. Good luck, Santa Anita. Yeah, I'm glad they're back at Santa Anita. I'm going to be looking at TV show Santa Anita today. I'm going to be at Delta Downs, doing Delta Downs tonight with our Brooklyn guy, Vinny. Be covering that. Let's get the other message up. I'm going to go heat up my coffee again, and then we'll get back. Heating up coffee, be right back. And we'll have some new stuff to talk about. Still on the same cup here. All right, we'll be back. And we're back and better than ever. Four Sigmatic mushroom coffee. This is still the same cup. It's not like I've been out here guzzling coffee since the show started at 3 a.m. 3 a.m. Yeah. And Friday, happy Friday to those of you watching. Thanks for joining us. So happy Friday. And what are we going to talk about? Now I got something else. I can take this banner down. Let me put the new topic up here. Is all right. Is betting on sports worth it? DraftKings. All right. I really don't bet on sports. I've never bet on sports before. I can count the number of times I bet on a game on one hand. You know, my game is horse racing, and I look at that not so much as gambling, but analysis and investing and making the right plays because I have data that I can work with. Now, in sports, you have data you can work with too. There's a whole system to that. But I did open a DraftKings account, and a couple of weeks ago, I put $10 in there, right? And as of today, from that $10, I did win one game. Dallas beat the Giants. But from that $10, I'm down to $1. So I'm going to try, and you could bet as little as 10 cents. Maybe I'll play a couple of parlays for 50 cents. But is it worth it to bet on sports? Now, some of these picks I'm making, I've made some parlays along the way, and I'm getting both ends of the parlay wrong. And I'm knowledgeable in sports, but not sports betting. And how is it possible that I could be making these picks and getting every single one of them except for one wrong? It's not like the payouts are great. It's not like horse racing where you can, bet $4 and turn around and get 100 or something back with a nice exacta. Sports, your payout is basically, unless you're making multiple bets, and then your odds of hitting go way down. You'll maybe double your money, if that, once they take out the breakage. I think it's a recipe for disaster unless you really, really, really have a system to work with. And I don't. For me, sports betting makes no sense. Because I'm not the guy that's going to go out there and bet $100 on a game. Now, even if I bet $100 and I win, what am I going to do with $100? It doesn't make sense. And the odds are, I'll probably lose the next game and lose that 100. So I'll probably be down I'll probably be down 10, 15 bucks after the takeout, whatever the hell it is. Who can forget that movie, The Gambler? If you haven't seen it, watch it with James Caan. Rest in peace. James Caan passed away this year. See this guy getting crushed on his wages, falling into debt. I know of a couple guys, a couple of friends of mine in the past, and this is years ago, that actually got rubbed out because of gambling debts. So it just seems like a tough racket. I can't see it unless you're really into it. My friend Vinny, the Brooklyn guy, is going to be joining me for Delta Downs show tonight. We're going to be covering Delta Downs live, making the handicapping and making selections. He's a tremendous sports player and a winning sports player. And from the little he's told me about it, he has a whole system, a numbers system based on starting lineups and runs and differentials and teams' record under certain conditions and teams' records against each other and pitching matchups or football, and takes a whole injury thing into play, the weather, and all sorts of dynamics. Puts a tremendous amount of work into it and has a system, and yeah, he wins. If you could play that way, great. But you got to know what you're doing. And me, it wouldn't make no sense to be. I got my hands full with the horse racing. For me, it make no sense. I'm not going to put the money into it to make it worth my time. I'm not going to sit there and watch games, entire games. There was a time years ago where I would watch a lot of sports, but it's a huge time investment. So I'm not going to sit there and watch the game. And yeah, it makes the game more enjoyable because I put something on it, but I don't want to watch the games. It takes everything I can do to watch a horse race. So sports betting, I think it's worth it. Unless you really know what you're doing and you really enjoy watching sports, and you're going to, you can make money, but I think most gamblers, sports bettors have a losing record. And you look at DraftKings, there's something now that if you make your first $5 wager for new customers, and if you hit it, we'll give you $200 worth of money to bet on future games. What does that tell you? It tells you right there, they figure the vast majority is going to throw that $200 away and more. So the record speaks for itself. The $200 offer speaks for itself. So it looks like a way for most people to get themselves potentially into a lot of trouble and into a lot of debt. When they talk about the suicide rates of people that commit suicides, people with addictions, gamblers have about the highest rate, suicide rate, more so than drug users or alcohol abusers or whatever other addiction they have. Gambling has the highest suicide rate. All horse racing all the time. Now I'll be covering other subjects on, besides horse racing here. But what about this old horse racing all the time? I make the racing reports. Why do I make these racing reports? I say I've been a winning player since 2011. And I know my stuff. I know my horse racing. I know my plays. I give out good selections. Winning player. Now, let me get this straight. Let me make this straight. Once I became a winning player, I started handicapping in 2007, was kind of treading water for a few years until I got better at the game and got a solid handle on the racing. And from 2011 to 2015, I made just over 40 grand those 3 years combined, playing the races on top of what I, made from work. So it was nice money, tax-free money. And I don't bet a ton of money. So I wasn't getting payouts of 600 to 1 on these plays. And I came close sometimes to, that I'm having to report it to the IRS things. So it's tax-free money. It's not like I'm betting $100 a race. And so over those 3 years, 2011 to up until about 2014, 2015, I was up about 40 grand. Then, now I'll give it to you straight here. Since then, I had a stretch of a few years there during an on-off relationship where I played really, really sloppy, and I played when I drank. I drank and played during this multiple breakups in this relationship, right? Really up and down relationship, unpredictable, was crazy. And so I distract myself. I would drink and I would play, and I'd say I threw about 15 grand of that 40 grand back. And then took some time off from playing for a while. So between those 3 years, I was up about 42 grand. And then during a few years stretch, I threw about 15 grand back, maybe another grand or so back after that through intermittent play. So since 2011, still a winning player, probably up about 24, 25 grand, which is a hell of a lot more than most players can play. Some people play the races and they lose 20 grand a year, and they're certainly not ahead. I don't know how accurate these statistics are, but I've heard that only about 3% of horse players are winning players. So at 3% tier, am I the best horse player in the world? No, but I'm one of the top 3%. So that's why I'm comfortable making these racing reports, and I'm confident when I put out the reports that these horses are going to deliver. And I'm not sitting there nervous when a race starts. I'm sitting there confident, expecting to win. And that's the way you want to be when you play the horses. You want to be comfortable with your picks. And if you're not, you shouldn't be betting on the race. There's no crime in passing on a race. You want to be confident. On some cards, you get a 9-10 race card. If you find 2 or 3 solid opportunities on a card, consider yourself lucky. Just play those 3. If you're serious about playing, all right, I get it. If you go to the track and you're with friends, you want to take on all the races and have something to cheer and talk about. But otherwise, if you're a serious player, you're better off playing at home than at the track. Because this way you could look at all the data in front of you. You can watch the simulcast on TV. You can make educated picks, put in your picks for the day or whenever the race is coming up. Hopefully, in a perfect world, you want to have an opportunity to see what the board is and what's going on before you put in your pick. But if you don't, maybe you want to put your picks in advance and then come back later and watch the replays and see how you did in the 2 races you played that day. That's how you make money in horse racing. You don't sit there and try and grind it out, take on every single race, because a lot of races, let's face it, they're unplayable, or the returns are not even worth playing. You see a 2 to 5 shot and whatever. The payouts are going to be zip. So you want to pick your spots and go from there. So in the racing reports, I've been doing it over 2 years, since July of 2020, and a lot of satisfied customers. Today I'm working on Aqueduct. I covered the first race, and hopefully they stay on the turf today and we can put together a decent report. Yesterday was very disappointing. All the races came off the turf. There were a ton of scratches in a bunch of races. So we'll see how that goes. And tonight will be at Delta Downs. What else is going on? Let's check the news real quick. We did some relationship advice. I answered a letter from somebody asking if should he text this girl after a month. And so you want to scroll back. If you haven't seen it, you want to scroll back. I answer a relationship question about a guy asking if he should text a girl after a month. So that's behind us, and it was good to get out there and do the Coach Allen stuff there. If you're joining us, happy Friday. Joining me, happy Friday, everybody. It's great to be out here doing a live show on Friday morning, October 7th, 2022, and drinking our coffee, Sigmatic mushroom coffee. And it's great. It's a beautiful morning, too. Okay, let's see what else is going on in the news here. Okay, so we did the relationship question. Do we do another relationship question? Now, this is a trick. Okay, let's say I'm going to do a relationship question here. Now, this is a pretty easy one. Good morning, Grunt the Aussie. Good morning, Grunt the Aussie. Thanks for joining us. How you doing today? I'm going to answer a relationship question. Now, this has to do with age differences. So, and it's short and sweet, and we can give an answer on that. We'll go put on our Coach Allen hat here. Let me put a label up. We answered the relationship question before. It was a little complicated about texting after a first date a month later. Coach Allen, relationship advice. Age difference. All right, let's see what we got here. Put on our coaching hat. Relationship advice. Does age matter a lot? That's the question. Now, this is from a woman. I met a guy recently, and we had 3 very hot dates. We are great. We are kind of crazy about each other. But, comes with a but I am 39 and I am 35 and he is 29. Actually, I am looking for a serious relationship. Well, sure. Now you're a woman and you're 35. You don't say if you were involved with anyone or have kids, but you're at that age now where, hey, yeah, I want to get a little bit more serious now. Now, you don't have to have kids, but anyway, so you're still at the age where you're wondering, hey, let's get serious. Actually, I am looking for a serious relationship. Can we have any possible future, or should we just stop it? Thanks a million. All right. That's not that big of an age difference, 6 years. You had 3 very hot dates. You don't say what you did or where it went, but it sounds like it's off to a very good start. I would just keep going. I'd see. Maybe you want to ask him a little bit about, what his plans for the future are, without saying, hey, number one, I wouldn't say, hey, I'm looking to get serious now about a relationship. Don't even mention the word relationship. A year is a very long time. Let's start with that. A year is a very long time. Continue to see him. Ask him a little bit about, his direction. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Something like that. Hey, they ask, where do you see yourself going in 5 years? Don't mention the word relationship. That might spook him. At the same time, he shouldn't really be mentioning that either right away. Because you've been on 3 dates. It's too early to be talking about a relationship. You really don't know each other yet. So you want to ask them in a roundabout way, casually, what do you see yourself? Where do you see yourself in 5 years, 2 years, or something like that? See how it goes. You're getting to know each other. 6 years, that's not much of a difference. It's not a big age difference, 29, 35. I was dating this girl once, and she looked great. And at the time, I was 37 years old. I was 37 years old. She looked terrific. We were seeing each other for a while. Not a while, maybe a few weeks, a month. I don't know. And we were at dinner, and she says there's something she has to tell me. She wants to tell me. And I forget, we met on a dating website, Match.com or something. And I forget what she said her age was, but, somewhere in her 30s too, right? And she tells me that she's actually 47 years old. Now she could have passed for much younger. And I did see her a little while after that, but she says, yeah, I just didn't want the age to get in the way. And so she's 9 years older than me, right? She didn't want the age to get in the way. And she goes, then she adds this in there. She goes, well, and I also figure guys usually die at a younger age than women. So that would kind of work the age difference out. So now she's plotting my death, figuring my death into the picture. But she was kind of flaky, and I broke that off a little while after. But initially, what did I think about that age difference? What did I think about it? Yeah, I continued to see it for, I guess, maybe a few more weeks. Did I really see it? It was more of a sexual relationship, but we also went to a lot of movies together. But I really didn't see a future with her when I heard about that age difference. For some reason, I thought that was too much for me at the time. But 29, guy 29, a woman 35, it shouldn't be a problem. Continue to see the guy and see where it goes. Don't mention the word relationship. It sounds like you're off to a good start there. Maybe where he sees himself in a few years. Figure it out a comfortable way to bring that up without it coming across like you're interrogating the guy. Okay. So we got our relationship stuff going here. I'll have to put a new thumbnail up to include the relationship talk, make this video a little bit more, make the description a little bit more encompassing of the topics we covered here. But it was great to do some of this relationship stuff. What else is going on? Let's check the news. Okay, so we also did another relationship topic earlier. Good morning. Yeah, I'm great. Hope you're well. Yeah, doing great, Grumpy Aussie. Good to see you here. Thanks for joining me this morning. Happy Friday, everybody. Let's check the news. Maybe there's something new in the news. So we did some relationship. We did Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie earlier. We talked about that. Somebody was asking, how do you know Brian Laundrie was abusive? We talked about that earlier. What do you mean? Your question? He strangled her. She's dead. How do you know he's abusive? Ultimate abuse. Please. Aaron Judge, home run ball. We talked about that record. Do I think Aaron Judge holds the real home run record? He has the clean home run record. The other guys took banned substances, and they're not included in the Hall of Fame. I think they should think about recognizing Aaron Judge as the true home run king. 62 home runs, breaking Roger Maris. News, anything new, exciting in the news? God, nothing really in the news that looks exciting. Sex stuff, Hunter Biden, pizza, talking about who has the best crust. I like the stuffed crust pizza. As far as regular pizza, sometimes I don't even eat usually I don't eat the crust. I eat the whole, I like the cheese and the sauce and all that, the toppings, pepperoni, whatever. Tom Brady, his feelings are really hurt because his wife is divorcing him. Hey, what do you mean? You finally said you're retiring, you're going to spend time with the family, and then at the last, she gets all her hopes up, gets all psyched about having a husband around, and last minute he says, you know what, I got to go play football. He comes out of retirement, now he's like shocked that she's divorcing him. It's not like she can't get another guy. Maybe another guy better than Tom. Really not much. Not too much in the news. Slow news day. Hurricane. We had a lot of rain here a few days ago. What was left of Hurricane Ian, hit New York. So we got a lot of rain. Yesterday, all the races came off the turf at Aqueduct. Working on a racing report. Started there. A little down on the racing. Some of the results this week just seemed really, really flaky. It didn't make sense. But that happens in horse racing. Look at the great Andy Beyer, creator of the Beyer Speed figures. He went up to Saratoga, wound up writing a book about it, where a summer where he made 50 grand, which was a lot of money in the 70s. And for the first few weeks of that meet, he was down thousands of dollars. And then somehow turned it around at the end and won money. Yeah, and they turned it into one of his biggest seasons ever. So here I am getting down on racing after a few flaky days this week. So maybe I need an attitude adjustment right there. And just because you have a couple of days where your horses don't come in, and thinking that something's wrong and the game is crooked, I'm probably looking at that the wrong way. Because you can't expect to win all the time. So, yeah, so I'm kind of catching myself right here, live, a moment of clarity. So we'll look at Delta Downs. I'm excited about that. Aqueduct, maybe the track dries out. What tracks at the moment? Wet tracks at the moment. I don't know if the track is drying out at Aqueduct. I don't know if it's too soon for it to dry out after all this rain. I don't anticipate a wet track at Delta Downs. One thing I like about the California tracks is the weather out there is usually consistent and you don't see a lot of scratches. At Santa Anita, I'm thrilled that they're back there. I love Santa Anita. Had some of my best days there, especially during the Breeders' Cup. I got a couple of horse racing books here that I wanted to bring to your attention. If you're a horse player, maybe you want to check these out because I think they should be required reading. And one is by Andrew Beyer, The Winning Horse Player. Great. I think this is his best book. Andrew Beyer, let me read a little bit about it. Andrew Beyer, The Winning Horse Player, An Advanced Approach to Thoroughbred Handicapping and Betting. Now, this covers the psychological aspect of the game, more so than picking horses and different styles, different approaches. An advanced approach to thoroughbred handicapping and betting. And they write, Boston Globe, there's no better place to start than with the manic evangelist, grand guru, and scholarly professor of handicapping, Andy Beyer. Anecdotal, stylish, and filled with the kind of practical and highly original analysis that readers can not only savor, but also take to the betting windows, the New York Times. The Winning Horse Player, Andrew Beyer. Get this book. It'll change your view of the game. You'll probably even enjoy it more. In The Winning Horse Player, Andrew Beyer builds on the strategy of speed handicapping that he detailed brilliantly in Picking Winners by introducing the concept of trip handicapping. Through an unbeatable combination of case studies and lively anecdotes, Beyer shows the smart bettor how to combine past performance data with an understanding of trips, track bias, and pace. The Advanced Guide to Handicapping includes a new preface by the author, offers a generous dose of the wit and wisdom that have made Beyer a legend sport. He is a great writer on top of it. And he has some great horse racing stories in there, different examples, real life stories. And you'll love the book. It's an entertaining read, as well as is highly informative. Andrew Beyer is a longtime horse racing columnist for the Washington Post and the creator of the daily racing forums Beyer Speed Figures. He lives in Washington, D.C. And I also have his other two books, which are excellent, Picking Winners and Buyers on Speed. See them on the back. See, this is worn, page is yellow. And this is a book I go back to again and again. It's not one read and then it's over. A lot of good topics in there, a lot of reminders, a lot of angles in there that maybe you're in a slump, maybe you want to look for something new. So Andrew Beyer, The Winning Horse Player. Pick that up if you haven't already. And the other one, now this book is more of a strategy book. Uh, Money Secrets at the Racetrack by Barry Meadow. And he got a picture of a check here. It showed he won $109,989. I guess it was pick six or something, and 40 cents. $109,000. Now this gives you different ways to cover it. I'll give you an idea with the chapters that they cover in this book. Now this is just a brilliant book. You got to get this. Money Secrets at the Racetrack. These are the topics they cover in this book. The chapters. Pari-mutuel betting. Decisions versus selections. How to beating the public. That's in horse racing, you're betting against the public. Making the line. How to make your own line, morning line. The truth about money. Keeping records. You see this? Big topics that most horse players don't think about. How much to bet. Win betting. Place and show betting. Now he talks about the different bets, how to do them, and the truth about them. Exactas and quinellas. Trifectas. Daily doubles. Are you getting a picture here? How to play the game. Multiple win exotics, the pick three. Multiple win exotics, the pick fours and pick sixes. A betting edge. And he describes a day at Santa Anita. And he also shows different ways to cover your bets, how to play your tickets, how much to bet on them. Money Secrets at the Racetrack. Required reading, along by Barry Meadow and also Andrew Beyer, The Winning Horse Player. You want to get those two books if you haven't already. And both of these books I go back to again and again. So we got weekends all just about upon us here. It's going to have some tremendous horse racing this weekend. The weather's supposed to be good here in New York for the next few days. So Aqueduct, hopefully the track is dried out today. If it's not dried out today, it should be dried out tomorrow. Got Santa Anita racing. Delta Downs will be doing a live show tonight at Delta Downs with Brooklyn guy Vinny. Be great to have him join us again. We'll see if Vinny has any sports picks, because you touched on this earlier. Vinny is a tremendous sports player. He knows his football betting and baseball betting. Baseball is a tougher game to bet because you have money line in there. And sometimes they have under and over with a margin of defeat, whether it be 1.5 runs. It's a tough game to bet. I still don't know how sports bettors make money. It just seems like a game where you got to put a lot in to maybe, you get your money back. I like the idea in horse racing because I'm an exotics player. Even a win bet, you're looking at sometimes, 3, 4, 5 to 1 on a horse. You're not going to get that in sports betting unless you start playing parlays, and parlays, once you have a couple of moving parts in there, your odds of winning go way down. I've seen it. I'm from the $10 I put in DraftKings, I'm down to $1 a couple of weeks ago. I'm not a sports bettor, but I figured, hey, let me hit something here. Maybe I hit something. It's not easy. I'm playing parlays and I'm getting both ends of the parlay wrong. It's like, what am I, a fool? I can't even pick one of these lanes right. It's not easy. And the payouts aren't high. That's why I play the racing. I see horse racing more as investing and analysis. I have data to work with, reliable data. I use very good data. Be it the Thorograph or a Brisnet figures or the buyer's figures. I'm looking at multiple sources. And I have a pretty good handle be it the jockeys or the trainers. So I'm not totally lost. You have your speed figures, you have your pace figures, you know what horse is probably going to go out to the front. What you do with the horse racing is you want to try and see the race before it's been run. Get a handle on the pace. Who is going to be the early leaders? Is it going to be a speed duel? Is the speed going to break down? Is there a horse that usually likes to go to the front all the time, but he's not going to make the front today? What about the closers? How does it set up for the closers? I prefer speed. I think the faster the horse, the early speed horses I like. Yeah, I think the game's built more on speed. I think the closers have a better chance in the event that the speed breaks down. We're coming on 5 o'clock here. Let's see what's got anything else to report here. Happy Friday, everybody. Thanks for joining the show. If you haven't subscribed to the show, subscribe to the show. Get notification of all new pre-recorded videos and live shows. Let's see if there's any breaking news to talk about. Really not a good news day. News was dominated recently by, okay, we had the passing of Queen Elizabeth. That was in the news for a while. The hurricane, that was in the news for a while. Ukraine war, I really haven't heard much about that. They don't cover that at all. At least not here in the United States. What's the big secret? I'd like an update. Hopefully that ends soon. Pandemic, not much going on there. Presidential elections, I don't know. That'll be in another couple of years. Will Biden run again? I don't even think his own party wants him to run. The horse racing, I guess today the big news is horse racing, at least with me. Just about done with the coffee. I'm going to end this show in a couple of minutes. And I've been out here since 3 a.m., came live at 3, and we'll go to 5. Let's see, is it 5, almost 5 o'clock? Another 7 minutes or so. Call it an even 2-hour show. And we'll be back tonight again with a show covering Delta Downs. It'll be a lot of fun. Be joined by a guest, Brooklyn guy Vinny. He's joined me for some shows before. And we'll be covering Delta Downs. That's a fun track. You got Don Stevens covering the shows. He does the analysis. He plays the music. He takes you right up into the race. And then he calls the race. How many times do you see the track analyst also be the race caller? And he calls a great race. And he's a terrific guy. And we sometimes would swap notes between races, like who we like in a given race. So it'll be a good night. Curious, Delta Downs just started racing there a couple. I guess Wednesday night was its first opening night there. So I love Delta Downs. I used to like Evangeline Downs too. Evangeline Downs used to host now I think they're running the quarter horses. Evangeline Downs used to boast the biggest fields in horse racing. And it would be nothing for them to have over just about 15 or more horses every race. So it's almost like every race there was like the Kentucky Derby with the field sizes. And the payouts there would be huge. I love that track because I'd be using the same great data that I used to make the racing reports. And I would be pulling surprise bombs at that track when they had those giant fields. And I don't know what has changed at Evangeline Downs, because now they have very small fields over there. And so they went away. They used to boast having racing's largest field. Now Evangeline Downs, they probably have some of racing's smallest fields. I don't know what happened at that track. And one thing to be aware of, which bugs me about Delta Downs, is a lot of the horses that run there Some of them come from Evangeline Downs, and they put up figures. The figures from Evangeline Downs don't seem to carry over to Delta Downs. Something must be different about the surface. So when you see those Evangeline Downs horses in the Delta Downs field, they become wild cards because they oftentimes don't perform the same way that they did at Evangeline and Delta, and vice versa. So some of those races I'm a little skeptical. So that about Delta Downs, if you're playing Delta Downs, keep that in mind. Evangeline numbers usually don't carry over the same over to Delta Downs. So I'm going to be there. Delta have pretty good field sizes. Another thing I noticed about Delta Downs was when the AE draws in somehow, the also can be dangerous. Coming to the tail end of the coffee, folks. 1 cup in 2 hours. So we kicked off at 3. Now it's just about 5 o'clock. If you have any questions or topics you'd like me to cover in a new up-and-coming video or live show, send them to liveracing@gmail.com. All one word. If you like the show, smash the like button, please. Show your support. Helps with the algorithms of the show and the channel. Likewise, subscribe to the channel if you like the show. Let your friends know about it. Smash that subscribe and make sure you hit the bell there too, next to the subscribe, that it shows that it's vibrating. This way you get notifications of all upcoming shows. If you racing fans, all horse racing all the time, yeah, it'll be all horse racing. Be a lot of horse racing. Horse racing coverage will still be here. I'll be covering other topics as well. So you get more bang for the buck. So how much horse racing does the average person watch? Does somebody go to the track once a month, once every couple of weeks? Watch horse racing once a week or whatever. So we want to give you more than just horse racing here. Because there's other topics as well. Maybe it's relationship advice. Maybe it's something trending in the news, current events, self-help, how-to topics, entertainment. What good movies are playing right now? Cover it all here, folks. And we will continue to cover it all. Again, tonight, live racing coverage, handicapping, and selections at Delta Downs. If you're interested in a racing report today, email me liveracing@gmail.com. Have a special for the weekend covering Aqueduct. I hope your weekend gets off to a great start. If you're just joining me in the morning now, I hope you have a terrific Friday. Happy Friday again. Have a great weekend, start to the weekend. Yeah, can you believe it? Friday, we made it. A little bit of coffee left. I'm gonna go start another cup, get started on today's racing report. Until next time, thanks for joining me this morning. Or maybe watching the show in the evening, or even a different day. Have a great day whenever you're watching this. Thanks for joining us. All the best. Talk with you soon.